Affinity Xtra, be extra.
Yeah, people. This is boy here, Roger Moore, alongside the host for this show.
How we doing, guys? Welcome back to 7Sharp. I hope you guys are enjoying yourselves. And again, if you are new to the show, then welcome. You're only a guest once. I will say that every time. And I'm going to switch up a little bit. If you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe and follow. And get involved, give us the comments on all the shows that we are doing. But for those that have given feedback on previous shows, thank you very much. Loads of people came back on the mental health one for men.
You know what? I it's for the first time I had a like on WhatsApp on the status. Hey, I was like, oi, we get like, because I've only just started utilizing my status on a status on WhatsApp because I'm like, long, but I know you live right by, I say, but I'm just sticking to YouTube links, man. That's what I'm doing. I ain't doing no video out there say, hey guys, I'm in the video, I'm about to do this. Yo, what you think of my hair today? My hair is kind of cool, my face nice. But anyway, that's just not me anyway. So
I feel like you should do some of those videos out there, like, you know, it took me a while to recognize what GRWM stood for.
And what?
So there's a lot of women that do that a bit video. Some guys are doing it now as well. And I was like, what does that mean? And it get ready with me. And so basically you sit down there and you watch people's videos as they get ready for the day. So that's brushing their teeth, combing their hair, choosing their outfit, and then walking out the door. So I might do one of those videos. Get ready with me, and see the chaos that I have to deal with when getting my kids ready for school and sorting out my dog in the morning before leaving the house, like that.
That's chaos, bro.
That deserves an award.
It's my two sons are too big. Wife does. I get up. I 3 scrambled eggs every morning.
3 scrambled eggs every morning.
Yeah. Have the eggs in it.
With anything else?
Oh, just 2 pieces of bread with it.
Just scrambled eggs and bread.
Yeah, 2 pieces of bread.
Wow, even then by locust and honey, there was a bit more than to the menu. You want to spice it up?
Every morning. Every morning. The spice up would be having it with avocado oil or olive oil.
Oil? I thought you were going to say avocado.
No. Yeah, you cook it in avocado oil or cook it in olive oil. That's the differences.
That's literally it?
It just depends what season. Yeah.
You sound like an amazing breakfast person.
I can't do all that big breakfast at McDonald's.
I have a big breakfast every morning. And everyone's always shouts at me like, really? I'm like, if I don't have a good breakfast before the day, you crash it. It's ruined. It's ruined.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. I could have not a lot. You know what I'm saying? As long as I got my 3 eggs. Yeah. If there's no eggs in the house, that's a problem. Yeah. Because I gotta get that protein source in.
Yeah.
And whatever there. So especially when you get older, guys, you gotta keep eating the protein.
Yeah, because we're fit.
Yeah.
We're fit. I mean, top half, I'm fit. But legs wise, no.
You just trying to run up the stairs.
No, Roger tried to kill me before the show started. For those that have never been to the studio before, you have to walk to heaven before we get into the studio. Literally,
Jacob's ladder.
Jacob's ladder, and then some. Like, guys, I'm gonna do a get ready with me video where I'm walking up the steps. It's like climbing to Kilimanjaro. But yes, we always manage to divert from where we started it.
No. We're gonna knock out. We're gonna hit this discipline now. Let's start.
Got to be good.
We gotta be. You got rebuked this week, innit, by Tyler Perry.
We're gonna do. It's coming now. I have officially finished watching Beauty in Black.
You know what I'm saying? You feel beautiful now.
I feel black.
I feel beautiful.
I'm gonna save my complete review for that one, and Ashley Walters' Adolescence, because there's been some really big feedback on both shows.
Okay, so what you say? We're not gonna go in on Beauty in Black.
Nah, we're gonna go big on that one because.
Okay, you want to chop that up like mad. You know what I'm saying? So what we're gonna do? The next one we're gonna do like a pop-out, like TV review of Beauty in Black,
100%.
and then also we could so guys watch out for that video because we put it on there. So Beauty in Black pop-out review, not mid review. We did a mid review in the last episode. We put it in there, and that kind of like
that went.
Yeah. We all go.
We're gonna give them both their dues.
Yeah. But adolescents, 100%. I think there'll be other shows on this platform about that because there's different contexts to adolescents.
Yeah.
And both myself and Blue, we work with young people with an angle. You know what I'm saying? We're saying, and then there's other professionals that'll be looking at this as well because it's such I've watched it at this time as recording. I've watched it and so many things we can learn from it. But we're going to talk about it because we're not talking about it. But we'll take it from a space from a man's perspective.
100%.
There's almost the negative side of feminism for me pours out in this program. But Blue, watch the program and we review it.
We're gonna watch it, and there's some amazing reviews on it in terms of how it's been filmed. It was done with one camera.
But the thing is, bro, that's done a long time, man. You know what I'm saying?
I was impressed
1917 is the film. Like, that was the time when they did it like that. So for me, it's nothing new. There was a British director that did 1917, a war film about 6 years ago in World War One. And he did it in one angle, and he went across the whole. That was
really?
So that idea has been done. They just expanded on it. So but I'm not bad minding him. I'm just saying that it's done, but great acting, great idea. It's just great done. So what we get into that before we spend all time reviewing something
we're gonna do. But
before he's,
I'm excited to get into the reviews on it, man. But the other one that we're gonna be discussing today, let me get my teeth back in. Which is kind of a little bit of a follow-on from some of the stuff we've talked about before, particularly around mental health, was a word that I struggle with, and I'm going to explain why I struggle with it a little bit later in the show.
Go on.
But Anthony Mackie, Anthony.
Antony.
How do
you say it?
I say Anthony.
You say Anthony?
Yeah,
show off.
It's A-N, man.
Obviously,
you say Anthony.
He's like second, third generation. I'm the original dancer. We say Anthony.
I'm the
Anthony.
We speak properly. We in my generation, we just had Gramley. But no, so Mr. Mackie, also the new face of Captain America.
Yeah, he's the new Captain America. Yeah.
Which I'm not a fan of.
Do you like it? Did you watch it?
No, I watched the film and I thought it was a big waste of time.
Okay.
And it's just
a black Captain America, bro.
You know what? It wasn't so much of a black Captain America. I think they.
He's the Obama. of.
I just think he was rubbish.
He's Obama.
He's a guy in a suit with a shield.
No superpowers,
With no superpowers. But Batman has no superpowers and Batman's effective. You know what I mean? Iron Man has no powers, he's effective. And this brother's got a parachute and a shield and tried to beat up the biggest Hulk ever. But anyway, so Mr. Mackie has come out with a statement, actually, which I would say quite a lot of podcasters are going after him on. But they're also a bit split on it as well.
Okay.
So
why are they going after him?
I think because...
Go on. What's statement? The reason why we can't play the statement, guys, is because he cusses a lot. He swears a lot.
Too much F-bombs in there.
So I don't want to get told off by him.
I will kind of like paraphrase what he said. So in the interview, he basically says that he tries to keep it real with his children. So it's two boys, and he tries to keep it real, and
beats them.
He doesn't. Not that real, but he basically said he doesn't buy them Jordans. So that's not something that they do. He doesn't involve them in that fly stuff that he believes. He said that his children know not to do dumb stuff, and if they do, then his older one should call in line his younger son to be like, listen, that's going to get dad angry. Don't be doing stuff like that because you're going to get yourself in trouble. He's away for portions of a time filming. So as a result, he'll tell his 15-year-old, you're the head of the house, so you've got to make sure you're locking the doors. You're making sure you're looking after your mom, looking after the house, and you call me before bed and you call me in the morning, and basically you're in control of things here. You say yes, ma'am, and yes, sir, to adults, and that's it. And basically he was saying because masculinity has been killed, and so it's important for him to raise his children to a standard. Now, people's issues with it was the fact that they feel like, are you pushing this whole play on masculinity where you think you're emasculating your children by doing this stuff? Or are you saying that the world has kind of demasculated men so much now that you've got to install these things in your children to kind of help them to become masculine? I think that's where the divide is on, because some people are like, well, what are you saying? Because from my personal perspective, I just felt like you're teaching your child manners, and I don't believe it falls in line at all with masculinity. There's a part he made a mention as well where he said like, if you get me angry, you're gonna know about it. So basically, we're saying if you do something silly, then I'm gonna cuss you out or probably give you a clap. And I was very much like, but that's not masculinity, that's fear. Beatings, yeah. Like, spare not the rod. So for me, I was very much like, but that's not teaching your child masculinity. One, that's teaching fear. Because if your child is going to do something, young kids do silly things. Like, not all young people, but a lot of young people.
They should have fear of consequences.
They should. But at the level of, am I going to get a black eye or my bum cheek's going to be bruised and mashed up? And like, at what level is consequences?
Something could be hot.
I don't know if that's, but then where does that fall in line with masculinity?
See, this is why this guy has to watch Adolescence, because he
yeah, you know what? But
the thing is, so what you're saying to me here, is basically saying that children, and I think this is where where fatherhood is kind of got mushy with our generation. Yeah, was I'm my best mate. Yeah, we've gone from one extreme with our dads to the other. And I think that's been the biggest issue in community. I'm not saying the world was great 2 generations ago. Yeah. And I'm sorry for bringing out this scenario of that's in adolescence, but I watched this element in adolescence, which was a great statement. Yeah. It's something that we always say. The guy's son has committed murder. And he looks at himself, said, I was beaten and battered by my dad. And I thought not doing that to my son
would make him better.
Will give him better. But am I being better than my dad because he's gonna, you know what I mean? Yeah. Going that far. So me sparing the rod, is that, if that's the right word? Yeah? You know what I'm saying? Me not even using the rod. Yeah. Not even putting rod on the table. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Has that, and saying that I'm better than my mum and dad, I'm better than my granddad, I'm better than all my uncles because they used to beat, and I'm not going to beat, so I am better. Look at the state of the youths now.
And you know, Eddie, I'm glad you said that because like the statement has been said quite often to this generation. Everyone's thinking I'm whacking up my children. It's like his children got WWE'd. But you know, but
that's why you have to go to gym, so they go, right, so you want me to come off feast? You know what I'm saying?
But you know what? They do call this generation the last generation. But then they called my generation the last year. No, the last year. No. But they did call my generation the confused generation. Yeah. Your generation
was just kicked out of church.
Backbench generation. I think no one, I don't know if any generation can really claim that they've got it correct and got it right.
Was wrong when we were younger. We always had it bad. It keeps on getting worse each cycle. The more closer we come to the end of times, each generation just gets worse.
But is it worse because there's lack of parenting? Because for me, my hang up on this whole conversation of particularly masculine, I struggle with the word masculinity so much.
Okay, why do you?
Because I feel like it's used, it's weaponized rather than simplified. And what I mean by that is people want to talk about masculinity when it makes the guy look strong, intimidating,
what does masculinity
tough.
Work?
Yeah, see, they got to Google what masculinity is. I feel like it pushes all that narrative of masculinity is tough, strong, and blah, blah, blah. But then masculinity can also be caring in nature, and like you could be tough, muscly, and be able to hold a baby and not crush it. You know what I mean? Like, so at what point are we saying that someone's masculine, especially when a woman's kind of like down talking to a guy and talking to him like he's a child, then we're quick to jump in that you're demasculating him, you're kind of making him more and petty and blah, blah, blah. So at what point then, what is the right narrative for using the word masculine? Does that make sense now?
Okay,
What have you found for masculine for Google?
It says having qualities or an appearance of traditionally associated with men or boys.
What does that even mean?
That means that, you know, boys are made out of snails, and you know what I'm saying, mud and all ugly stuff. You know what I'm saying? Dash him in the mud. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, boy. You know what I'm saying? Coal mines. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? We don't cry. You know what I'm saying? You know, the way you cry is this. You have to do internal cries. They say the same. There's nothing wrong with that, bro.
I think there's nothing wrong with that, but then I think there's also something wrong with it. Is because what we've done now is told. Like, so, for instance, our generation was told you're not allowed to cry.
Give us a your way.
Yeah, we were told not to cry.
Yeah.
Which also meant don't show any emotion. You got baffed and mashed up and told. And then basically internally we were told don't show no emotion, which is cool because then you tried your best to do that, and then you get into relationships. Bag of guys now get into relationships where
they struggle with their emotions.
They struggle with emotion because actually you suppressed it so much because you've been told to, that now you're in a place where you're supposed to be more emotional, more caring, more connecting, more open to talk. And you can't hold down a relationship, you can't hold down a friendship because you wasn't allowed to.
But the flip side is this. Yeah, right. So if I struggle to communicate my emotions, you know what I'm saying, and I have to understand that while everyone's dancing and crying, the ship's sinking, you're like, even though I'm nervous inside, I'm holding it down. Yeah? You know what I'm saying? Like, is it more the case that women are expecting us to be more emotional, more entwined, more open, more this and that? You know what I'm saying? The environments are to be open and not the spaces in the house. Like, no offense to women still, you know, end of the day, you know, what I find a lot is that when it comes to women, and a lot of breakdowns in relationships that I've seen around me and so on, and just from what I've seen and personal experiences that I've seen, is that it seems to sometimes when as a man you give up your weaknesses, it gets used against you. And you know what I'm saying? And when women do that to you, bro, you climb up quick. You know what I'm saying? And you know what I'm saying? And you shut your mouth. You know what I'm saying? You know, say if you're a man and you, right? Okay, this is extreme.
Okay, go for it. We like extreme.
If a woman comes to a man, and says, "I'm struggling with same-sex attraction," in the relation, your husband, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? A man will go, okay, before you go left and right. But if a man does the same to a woman,
she just dramas,
bro, out the door.
But then you know what? I think some guys also will break down if their partners said the same scenario.
Which guys?
Some guys would.
There's no evidence of that.
No, you know what? I've actually heard. I'm not even going to chat someone's business, but there has been scenarios where that scenario there where if you think it's far-fetched, it's not that far-fetched at all.
Cool. I know, but that's happened. You probably have more conversations than me,
where some people's relationship has gone that way. But I think bringing it back to the whole kind of like the point of like masculinity. So I think, okay, suppressing our emotions. So I think it's okay, and hear me correctly. Don't mishear me. Yeah. I think the problem is, as men, we're not encouraged to cry. Like if you're crying, like you're bawling for, cool. What are you crying for, man? Like fix up, man. Like if when my sons were younger, if they were crying, I used to say, stop bawling. Like fix up, man. What are you crying for? Like stop being a baby. I then kind of had like a God moment where I felt, okay, you know what?
You said it was
what
God.
you're doing. I didn't say it was God.
He had a social media.
It was a spiritual moment, man. It was a spiritual moment.
He watched a podcast in the morning.
There were no podcast, man. There was a moment there where it was like, okay, cool. So what you're telling your children is, it's not okay for them to display their emotion.
So was it Tony Bundan?
Nah.
Bundan Network.
Mash it up. But what you're doing is you're telling your son it's not okay to express their emotion. Okay. So then now, when they get older and they need to have that conversation with you about areas that they're struggling with, girls, this, that, and the other, you haven't built that rapport with them to be strong, because what you're telling them is, I need you to be tough all the time. That doesn't switch off. So if a girl's doing you bad, sort that out. If a guy's bullying you at school, sort that out. Like, at what point can they come to you vulnerable and be like, yo, dad, like, I want to cry because this has upset me? And here's an example of it as well. So my youngest son, and I never forget this one, he literally doesn't like to cry in front of people too much if you can hold it. Yeah.
Tough, man.
He's a tough boy, man.
Yeah, man, that's good, man.
And one time, two scenarios, but one time he was at school, before he went to school, he wasn't feeling too good. But you know this generation, you're going to school because you're not stopping at home, because you're not skanking me.
Yeah.
So he went to school and he wasn't 100%, but he was good enough to go to school. And I knew he wasn't well, but we thought when he gets home, he'll chill out and whatever. And that when you go to pick your child up, they have to wait near the wall with their teacher and then they come over to you. So I came there, but he didn't see me straight away. And I could see his demeanor looking like, all right, cool, it's home time, where's my dad? And he was kind of smiling, but not 100% smile that he gives. So then when he saw me and I said, okay, let's go now. He's looked at me and then kind of, it looked like he dropped that whole facade of I'm okay and walked to me and just broke down. And I was like, was you holding that in? And he was like, yeah, all day.
Okay.
And I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Now there's another scenario where I took him to the barbers.
Yeah.
And you know what black barbers are like.
Yeah.
We talked enough, we chat enough.
Yeah, chat
and
rubbish.
he kept moaning about, you know, your barber's your hands tough.
Yeah.
Squeeze out your head. You don't know, you know barbers.
Yeah.
But like he squeezed out his head.
You got fade, man. Yeah.
So he squeezed off his head.
Yeah.
And the
cool.
barber's like, come on, man, fix up, man. Don't be moaning about that. Like, sort it out.
Yeah.
Which is in turn him saying, man up.
Yeah.
So he sat down there and it was hurting him.
Yeah.
And I was clocking watching him and he had tear coming down his eye, but he wouldn't move his head. And the barber, one of the guys was like, yo, you're making little man cry. And the barber looks and he's like, oh, yo, I'm sorry, what's the matter? And he's gone, it's hurting. It's been hurting. And he's gone, but you haven't moved, you haven't said nothing. And he goes, because you said to sit still. And the whole barbershop went, how old are you? And he goes, 6. And then was like,
big
I'm
man.
impressed,
Big
up.
Big man.
You sat down there with the tear in your eye.
Yeah,
And I was like, I was proud. I was like, son. But that's when it was like, but now you just told your son it's not okay when it hurts and you're in a situation to suppress. That's not masculinity, yeah. That ain't masculinity, bro. Like, because the scenario could be, you know what? Because at what point, is he gonna grow up and be like, I'm vulnerable? I'm not expecting him to bawl all the time. Hopefully, emotional intelligence will sort that out. But are we giving him the right language to express himself to say, yo, I'm not cool with this. Like, this is wrong, blah, blah, blah. Instead of, because most guys, if they don't talk it, they're just going to smash up place and get in dramas.
This is a great cover. It's a great cover still, yeah. You know what I'm saying? By the way, you know, I think, you know, salute to Blues, look one. What's his name? Micah, big up to Micah all day long. Big man name still, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, man, I held it down, you know what I'm saying?
Man, tough boy.
And I think, like, for me, when I used to play football when I was playing when I was about 10, 11, and I used to play with adults and they'll kick you. Yeah, but the thing is, you couldn't cry, because if you cry, you can't play back. You can't play with them again.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? See, you can't say to the guy, it hurts. You have to play on, they get stronger and bigger.
Yeah.
But this generation, tap them.
Drop, roll around, first aid, A&E.
I'm doing training session with the youths. I got training later today. And bro, literally after 15 minutes after we do the jog, they're taking drink fluids.
Yeah,
I'll be like this. What's wrong with you youths? This is not under 8-year-old football where you need a drink. You know what I mean? It's 1 hour of football, play the game, and drink when you go back home. You know what I'm saying? You say, this is a big man team. You can't drink. You know what I mean, bro? 15 minutes
harsh, you know?
and you're drinking water. Your body's not ready for game ready. You need liquor water. Nah, bro.
After 3 minutes, I needed water. I was walking up the stairs.
Bro, listen, man. Yeah, guys, you need to prepare that body for warfare. You know what I'm saying? And that mind for warfare. You know what I'm saying? But no, be masculinity, and even going back to what Auntie was saying, you know, and this is the problem now that we're having, the conflict that we have as men.
Yeah.
Is like, we want our sons to be emotionally better, emotionally better.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we need them to be able to check the emotions in if you need to, because there's a big hit back with saying that women are now becoming more masculine.
Yeah.
And they are now losing their emotion and becoming more masculine. And then men are getting more emotional.
Yeah.
And it's going the other way. But I feel like the women, no offense to your sisters, are not built to be like that, and we're not built to be emotional. You know what I'm saying? So there's gotta be, and this is why I go back to men, safe spaces, environments where we go hunting. You know, whether it's in sport environments, team sports, that's where we exchange life. You know what I'm saying, bro? You go to the sauna, you know, when they go them big Russian like steam baths and everyone's talking, communicating. We do business, we do this, but the world has separated us from the pack.
Do you think it's the world mentality, or do you think it's our mentality? Because I think, like, interesting, you talked about more women being masculine. So there has been a study, and I cannot remember where it was, and I saw it a while ago, where they talked about women are becoming more masculine. And that's because, not just because of men, but I think because of like women roles and jobs and opportunities, and there's less opportunities for women because traditionally in certain job roles, it's been men. And so to be in them roles and to kind of stay in them roles and to compete in them roles, there has to be a level of masculinity to kind of hold your own. This is what they say.
I see what they say, but you have to look at what women were doing a generation or 2 generations before. They would have a child for a man goes to war, he comes back in 3 years' time, and they're still there taking care of the child. That doesn't mean he comes into an environment where she's all masculine and doing all certain things. You still say, "Oh, I'm good." I'm not saying cooking breakfast is best, but she's doing that traditional, as the description says, that traditional male and female role. She's been doing the feminine. So I would say that, and also men used to go away.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. And let's you go to which men can now. Can you go to Mrs. Like, I got a job in New York. I'll send the money over and you look after the children.
You can if you're a good husband.
He didn't answer for himself, you know.
My wife would be cool with that. Like,
man's gone for
I wouldn't want it though. Like, I'd like my family, but some people, if you got,
she said no.
I've got a good family, man. So I wouldn't want to. But I think going back to your point about the World War in terms of gender roles.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
Depending which war we're talking about. First World War, there were still the gender wars roles in terms of men went away, came back, and blah, blah, blah. Second World War just killed gender roles because obviously a lot more women went, and some people would argue and say this is when society kind of broke because a lot more women started to go into work. Men came back and there was no work for us, or they were mentally messed up or physically messed up. And then they started drinking.
Men, that's why they call the Caribbean men. Because basically a lot of people went missing.
Mash up things, and then all that stuff changed. But I think running on that point in terms of society has changed and messed up. I think society has changed and kind of needs to change. But I think the problem is we're changing with no plan, no direction. That's my thing. So at the moment, when we talk about changing with no plan, no direction, a lot more women are being more masculine in the homes because they feel that the guy isn't doing that role properly. But then you've got some guys who are, I'm not even going to say they're not being masculine, they're being demasculated. And I know I said I didn't like that word earlier, but what I mean by that is, and it goes back to what you said and what Shaquille O'Neal said as well is, sometimes when you tell your lady something or a woman something, then they use it back to kind of shoot you with it. That takes a longer time to recover.
You don't heal from that. I think I'll be 100. You don't heal where and this is what women have to realize is that you mess up once in that area, men will just cut.
It shatters trust in it.
But when it's a cut, it cuts.
Man.
It cuts. When a man is actually gets to a stage of being vulnerable and being truthful with you, and when you throw back to them anything of that, I could easily say that you went too far. And I'll say it to women, you have gone too far, and he will virtually never ever trust you in that way again. You know what I'm saying? And he'll
even if he wants to.
And hopefully I'll encourage men to find other ways to helpfully, and this is where you go to other guys or somewhere else. But unfortunately, the woman has showed that in her emotion, she'll throw that back in your face.
Yeah, completely.
Let me say, you know what I mean? And that's what you get, because you get that time. Of course, you're gonna have disagreements and arguments, but when you throw back a vulnerable moment,
and that's why some guys are guarded where they wouldn't really tell their partner, some real deep stuff.
And we're not talking about cheating in the partner, because when you ever say that, he's not talking about the dirty. You know what I'm saying? That's going through childhood trauma. Childhood trauma issues. Things that happen to you past. You don't. You give them a little bit, and hopefully women listening to us talk. Your man will give a little bit. If you dash it back at them, it's not that they'll leave. They go, okay, cool. I know my lane. You know what I'm saying? And when they'll talk to other people. You know what I'm saying? And this is where sometimes it gets messed up because they talk to the wrong person. And next thing you know, that one person becomes their new life partner.
Drama, You
know what I'm saying? And it becomes messy. So that's why I would advise men, if your missus still does that, find a safe person to talk to.
Yeah.
Don't find Susie around the corner who's open out there, bro, because you start going, oh, she's amazing, she knows me, bro.
But you know what though? I mean, what I'm gonna say is gonna slightly take us off topic, but you know this. The problem with our show sometimes is we will go around the reeking in this show.
Yeah.
But I think with that topic, when some guys, I think, and this ain't my experience, first of all, but so I think some guys are willing to go and talk to another lady when that happens, is because as guys, we still need nurture. We still need that vulnerable person, which you're not going to get from another guy. Yeah, another guy is not going to be giving that vulnerability. A lady can give you that because that's the built. Like that's how they're built. So some guys will go and talk to Susie because.
I'll have a Dr. Susie.
Dr. Susie.
The professional.
No, rather than that, right,
Dr. Susie. Not Dr. Susie, because not qualifications, guys.
Yeah, Dr. Susie costs money, man.
You say I'm talking about
side girl Susie. Yeah. No, Dr. Susie costs money. And guys don't want to invest in
their mental health.
Yeah, because then that's exposure.
But they invest in their alcohol health.
Wow, because it's cheaper in it and it's self-medicating. Like,
but it's not cheaper though.
It's in the short term, it's cheaper because.
How is it cheaper?
Well, it's cheaper in the sense of.
Now?
You're looking at about £13-14 the UK price.
How do you know?
Because I like to drink ginger wine and I like to look at the price of the drink that I want to buy, but I don't want to spend the money.
I buy
water.
Innocent smoothie.
The only alcohol Roger's having is fermented fruit.
Listen, it's called Guinness Punch, man.
Yeah, or what's it cult? Okay, communion wine.
Rum here, yeah. You got rum here.
This guy went to Amazon to find out how much rum is, you know.
I ain't got a clue, bro.
Yeah, see,
you got Venezuelan rum for 25 quid.
Yeah,
that's on special offer. You've got 30 quid rum. You've got 180 quid rum here.
No one's that thirsty.
So rum looks like about 40 quid a bottle. Yeah?
Yeah.
That's about right, yeah?
No, I wouldn't be paying that though.
Okay, cool. You'll be paying.
You're looking at about 25, 30.
Captain Morgan, I've seen it on the adverts. That's 20 quid.
There you see, there you go.
Yeah,
and it's even cheaper if you use your local points.
So I'm saying 2 bottles of rum, you could see a specialist for that bottle for that, and it'll be healthy. Each month, take away 2 bottles from your life.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's 50 quid.
See, now I'm an advocate for counselling and therapy.
Yeah.
But also I know the reality of counselling and therapy is sometimes, so here's where therapy and counselling fall short. They can only go off the information you give. And then when you go into counselling, you're always a victim. So not a lot of people are always going to tell people the truth about who they are, because if they knew the truth of who they are, they wouldn't need to be there in the first place.
That is it right there, people. That is it right there. Now, this is sorry, getting excited here because you know what, guys. You know, I do advocate, and I do it as a part of my maintenance. Yeah, it's part of my maintenance fees each month. Yeah, so not only my physical health but my mental health.
100%.
Because you're saying it's important. But what I've noticed is that seeing in spaces now, people describe themselves. You cannot be delusional about what you see in the mirror, guys. Please, when you go to these people are not going to fix you if you don't tell them how you actually feel. So if I go to the doctors and say I've got a pain in my right there in my stomach there, and they're gonna say, why you got pain? But then I'm not gonna tell them that Mikey got me to do 100 crunches on Monday. They're gonna go, they'll do a scan. They do a scan. I said, of course, it's called DOMS. You know what I mean? It's called you know what I mean, delayed. You know, muscle reaction. You area, so you ain't worked it for a while, so it hurts. You know what I mean?
I don't know about that.
You're saying so for me. If he can misdiagnose because he me moaning about my stomach, and he's saying, listen, try this washout medicine, try this gut health, but you're not far from it. It's my muscles there, even when it's a pain there. So for me, it's important that when we go, we spend the money right. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? By talking your truth. You know what I mean? It's hard because they're looking at truth. Don't be blaming Blue. I'll be like this, going, yo, it's Blue's fault because Blue did this, because Blue did. Don't go in there looking to blame anyone.
Yeah, you can't.
Go in there, look. Please, guys, that's a very great advice, bro. Because I find too often, I'm very passionate about this because I find that we just don't get counselling.
We don't.
In churches, it's always going to pastor and telling us our personal business. You know what I'm saying? And they do a 4 weeks counselling course and they say that I'm ready.
I don't.
You remember that period there, bro? In about the 2000s and the counselling courses came out, and he's like, do a 4 weeks counselling course, and you got a certificate, and you're ready.
Yeah. Now you can go and solve people's problems, and you're like, okay, cool. And the thing is, those people are excited for clients.
Yeah.
Like, now come, and then they did more damage than the damage that came previous. And I think I don't want to diss too much churches, you know. I think all I'm going to say is we can do better in church spaces. I'm going to say we could do better in a lot of religious spaces, but church spaces, we should do better. But you know why we don't do better? Because they don't invest. But I'm not even going to go too deep on that one. But because you don't know what you don't know, and then you get excited. There's expectation that you do know, so you kind of like pretend to support. But they don't know, so they haven't invested, so they haven't got the right people.
I think the problem with the church, going back into my childhood, is that they struggled with diagnosis. That's another mental health diagnosis.
Yeah.
So we refuse to look at mental health legitimately when we look at the guy with legions, as full of demons, where a professional will see it is as multiple personality deficiency. Yeah. And here's 2 tablets.
Yeah.
We're like, yo, altar, bam, Charlie out.
Yeah.
T out.
Still 15 more.
Duppy out.
Yeah.
Charlie out. Yo, really casting each one out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's crazy. Sorry, people. Hopefully, people are not laughing at that one.
And we apologize if your name is Charlie or any of the names that Roger called you. We're not calling you no demon.
Or Tunti. I don't know where I got that name from.
You know what? I hear you. I'm a bit like...
Because I remember people struggled with that diagnosis. Tablets. Bipolar was and then when people were starting to be in the professional field of mental health, and I'm talking about 90s now, it was like, oh yeah, they don't get it. It's spiritual. And
it's not always spiritual, but sometimes it is.
Why? And I think that's a whole package.
Yeah, and that's another show. But like I said, it's not always spiritual, but sometimes it is, and it's having that wisdom to know when it is and when it isn't. And it's having that skill and ability, and it's knowing when it is and it isn't, when to use it. And like you said, it's right that some people, when the churches try to do the training to get people to support people, I get it, but they didn't do it wisely. And so when I saw the chaos when some people got in there to counsel, and they couldn't manage, but again, there was too much pride to kind of say, actually, I'm at my depth here. That for them to say, let me stop and refer you, they continued, done more damage, made it more worse, and what should have been almost a simple solution of supporting became a massive messed up situation that some people now are paying for, generations are paying for, because some kids ain't got their parents, and it's just kind of like it's gone downhill from there. So I think they tried, but again, there's just a bit more lack of wisdom and learning from that experience. But I think going back to masculinity, because we don't know that now, innit? I think going on the back end of that one, I think we've talked about the exposure of men, we've talked about the vulnerability of men, and just how men are picked off in society and dealt with. I do think, and I had this conversation literally before I came down here today, where as men, you're right, one thing you said is we don't invest. So there's loads of opportunities, I think, sometimes for as men to go to, where it's men groups, men discussion groups, men counselling groups, men activities, and we don't go, but we'd rather go and invest in, go and see, I don't know, 50 Cent at a concert or Jay-Z. You know what I mean? We live for the moment.
We just spend our money on foolishness. We spend our money on foolishness, and we floss. We floss good. We just do not invest in the right things.
No.
And sometimes focus is to make the bag and spend it in flossing instead of looking at what's inside. You know what I'm saying? And how can I take care of this body and this mind? You know what I'm saying? And we don't invest into it, bro.
You know what I was gonna say?
And that seems as weakness. If I'm open. Like, yo, I invest. Is it Roger's weakness that I go? I've got a is it counselor? What do you call them?
Counselling.
Is it? I wouldn't say but I'll just call it straight shrink. I got shrink. You know what I'm saying?
The shrinks are very much Americanism.
Word, you know what I'm saying? But you know what I mean? But the thing is it Roger being weak Christian to have somebody that like that?
Not at all.
But you see, but the thing is,
not at all. Yeah.
How many of us have that in place? And it's not just I'm not rich. You know what I'm saying? It's just I've had to budget to do embrace that.
Yeah. And I think you know what? I think
Priorities.
more people need to do it. And I think the scared. And I go back to. I think a lot of people don't do it. One, because they don't know where to go.
Yeah.
Who to talk to and how the process works. And I think again, some people don't do it because they don't see it as a worthwhile investment for now. Like
right, that first step you made. Sorry, I have to book you on that one. You don't know where to go. I tell you what. I don't know where to go and get weed, but if I tried, I will find out in 2 seconds. You know what I'm saying?
Shots fired.
You know what I mean? So if you want to find, if you want to,
you tried to get weed.
I've never. I smelt it in the common room back in the day. You know what I'm saying? Smelt on the 78 bus and 74 bus on the top bunk. You know what I'm saying? But that's about as close I got to weed in my life. You know what I'm saying? And a couple of football. After football tournaments,
I had a family member that used to say that said you were selling weed, and it was oregano.
Yeah, listen, bro. I've walked these streets and they could always come to me and say, "Do I sell weed?" You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but people come to me doing that, and I'm like, what the heck? But anyway, if you want weed, you can go and get it.
Yeah, you know where to get it from.
If you want mental health support, if you want it's 2 phone calls.
Yeah.
Bro, if you're unlucky, maybe 3. But you say and a Google search.
Yeah. That's true. No,
there's
you're
a
right.
lot of people around us, bro, that are into it. That I set up and it says, no problem. You want a phone call? Let's talk it through.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right.
And the problem with us, we wait till it's too late.
Yeah.
Till we do something stupid, till we physically abuse our missus, till we put our hopes into somebody else outside our marriage, till we all these extreme situations.
Yeah, it's
you know what I'm
suicide.
saying? It's because 100% we talked about suicide. It's because we don't put it in and we said it's not available. It is available.
Yeah.
It is 100% available.
But you think, and I'm going to make this targeted specifically to men, do you think we don't do it because it does demasculate? It feels like it's demasculating.
100%, yeah.
Of sitting down to, because, you know, I've done counseling.
It does. You can't hide away from the fact. It's not so... I'm saying it because there's nobody in the room and it's easy to say it online. And I'll afford this part if I look back at this video.
I didn't say that.
You know, because it makes me look weak.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And all the women go, oh, no, it don't matter. All the men are going, I'm soft. You know what I'm saying?
Jelly belly.
So that's the problem. Why you soft? You know what I'm saying? And then the women, they go, oh, what are you so connected to your emotions? And like, go, no. So
I don't know which women talk like that though.
So you know what it is, when you're next to a comedian, you have to step up your game. You know what I'm saying? You have to do imitations.
I'm just saying, I've never met a lady that talks like that, and if they did, then they should go support as well. But
yeah, but my imitations are great. But that's that is something which I struggle with, but I just do it. You know what I'm saying? I eat 3 eggs a day because it's good for me. You know what I'm saying? Not for the taste, bro.
Yeah, but for when it
does. You know what I'm saying? You know, and for me, it's a case of that's the mentality I kind of have.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's good for me.
100%.
I don't like it.
You don't like eggs?
No, eggs don't taste it. But I don't even put. People say you put pepper in it. You put this in it. I don't put no pepper.
Really?
It's 100%.
No salt, no pepper, no hot sauce, no. Virgin.
No tomato, no sauce, nothing.
I got to have sauce on
that.
that.
Straight eggs. The only thing I put on it is margarine on the bed. That's the news I get to sauce on it.
Wow, this is some.
With a hot blackcurrant drink.
Desert. You drink cold drink with that food as well?
No, hot blackcurrant.
Hot blackcurrant?
Yeah.
You have hot blackcurrant?
Yeah.
It's like Sunday school days, isn't it?
So, you know what I mean? I don't get the Ribena now because Ribena's fried, but like I have more of the natural stuff now. Yeah? You know what I'm saying? So like there's a brand called Rocket or whatever where it's like more natural. Natural stuff. And I just put hot water in it and that's it. Man. I haven't had 1 cup of coffee a day and you know what I mean? Maximum 2 and that's it.
I used to have 1. I didn't have no coffee before, now I'm 1. 2 cappuccinos a day, but anyway.
Yeah, because it helps.
Yeah, but now I'm going to go back to your point in regards to investment. And you're right. If you're going to invest in anything on your well-being and your welfare, I think finding the right counsellor, the right support and getting that support is madly important. And I think also, and hopefully if the counsellor's listening to this show, make sure you give the right service to the people who are coming to you. So if it means upskilling yourself so that when people are coming to you to support people, you do it. I mean, I've got like a counselling background and I remember after my dad died, I went for counselling.
Okay, good.
And and it's bad. I had to get rid of the counsellor Okay,
not good.
It's not good. It wasn't good. It was a bad experience.
Yeah.
I had to get with the counselor because at the time, prior to my dad passing, and my wife wouldn't even mind me saying that, we were going through marriage difficulties like most couples do. When you get to that crossroad where you're like, is this even for us anymore? And then you battle with, you're getting on my nerves, and then you battle with, I could do this by myself. Financially, I think I'm set up for it. I can do it. I got the bag. You know what? Let's just learn how to co-parent and stuff. Then my dad died, and you're like, right, okay, cool, there's more on the plate. And I remember sitting down with the counsellor, and I said, originally, the counselling sessions were going to be around marriage for me, understanding the importance of it.
Come on now.
But now it's around understanding where life goes now. My dad passes away. My girl turned around and told me, okay, well, here's how you're supposed to grieve. I said, sorry? She's like, there's a process to grieve, and this is how you're supposed to do it. I said, supposed to do it or can do it? And she's used the word supposed to. And I was like, that's a red flag. Then she changed the counselling session to talk about her experience of when her horse kicked her and she hurt herself, how she felt and the things she had to deal with, and the counselling that she had to find, but she couldn't find it. And I was like, can I stop you there? I think our counselling sessions are done. And from that moment, I reported her to her management and said, this is an unprofessional counsellor. If I didn't understand counselling for myself, I would have been messed up. I was like, and when I fed it back to the management's face was like, seriously? And they couldn't be any more apologetic. They were like, we're really sorry that was your experience. We can offer you another one. I said, nah, I'm good. Like, nah. It's a good job I have a community of people who I can go to and connecting with. Otherwise, who knows? I could have been down the bottom of one of them 24-pound rums right now. You know what I mean? I probably was slimmer for it. But so it's making sure that you find the right counsellor and understand how
the right doctor as well, physical doctor.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, some doctors are just like terrible. Some no offense, doctors. Some of them they're good at common colds. But poor at something, because they got the general practitioners.
You know what I mean?
And the thing is, it's like, you know what I mean, what good counselor is, it says, I will suggest somebody else who's better for you. When people we love them because they just know that I'm not here for the bag. I'm not here to just fill up my hours. I'm here to point you to the right place. And I love that, man. I love that. You know, it's out there, guys. And I would just say, some of the take I take from this conversation is to encourage, and obviously we hear specifically talking about, you know, the black man plight, but also the men plight, also just people plight, and mental. You got no excuses. If you want to fix your body, your mind, you have to do something, because life, your partner will one stage trip you over. You know what I'm saying? Your children will trip you over. People people are people. They've got their own struggles. Take care of this. If you don't take care of this, you're not ready for this world.
100%.
Or just will spit you out, dash you out. And when you've been put into the ground, the world carries on moving like it never existed. And that's I was the youths when they're going, yeah man. I said, listen, stop, man, because when you're in the ground, the world doesn't stop moving. You know what I'm saying? So please, make sure you enjoy this life by being fit for purpose.
100%, Like, as I used to say to my dad before he passed away, wealth is health. You know what I mean? You've got to invest in your wealth. Your health, sorry.
Health is wealth.
To enjoy the wealth, basically, So
health, man. Body, mind.
But we've come to the end. We didn't even really touch the Anthony Mackie thing. But it is how it goes on this show. It is how we do on 7Sharp, man. We can start talking about Putin and end up on Michael. I was going to say Michael Jackson. That's bad, though.
Yo, you know, I don't want this.
But it's all relevant, and but you know what though? It's all food for thought, man. And hopefully, you have taken a lot from this show. If anything, the two main things you should take away from is Roger tried to kill me walking up the stairs, and he eats 3 eggs, and his impersonation of how some women speak. If you're offended by that, message him. Because I've never met a lady that talks like that personally. But guys, as always, it's been amazing having you guys here with us. Even though you're not here physically, we know that you're here. And please drop a like or drop a a message if there's anything your experience that you want to share. And as always, please be encouraged to listen to all the other amazing DJs, talk hosts, shows on Affinity Xtra. If you're into football, Roger does an amazing show with some of the other guys around football. So please lock in. And if you've even got any ideas, guys, get in, okay? The station is about you guys listening to us as well. So if you've got any ideas and thoughts, there's no such thing as a silly idea, but that's true. There is such thing as silly ideas. Just make it make sense. But anyway, for me and Roger, take care, yeah?
Yeah, man.
Bless.
Yeah, man. Bless, man. Bless.
Hi, and thank you for watching. Make sure you subscribe, you like, and you comment, and make sure that you're sharing the videos and watching so much more. We have loads of content for you. I hope you enjoy. See you soon.